All right. Good afternoon, Jenny. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Danielle?
I'm great. Thanks so much for asking. So Jenny, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today. We've connected in the past about some opportunities, and today I thought it would be a good idea to record so we can hear in your own words a little bit about your experience. I know that you have 15 years plus experience as an admin assistant, and you were with Wells Fargo as of, it was February, correct?
As of July of
Oh, in July.
July,
Okay.
July the 10th, 2024.
All right, perfect. And how long were you there?
15 years. The second
Oh,
time I had
okay.
worked for them previously, and I had taken a break and worked at the retreat center, a Catholic organization, and they had to close because of the economy in 2009. And so I went back to Wells Fargo. So I had worked for them for like 5 years. Went to the retreat center, and then I went back to Wells Fargo.
Okay, great. And then when you were at Wells Fargo, it's not like you were working in a branch. You were working as a senior admin
in a,
assistant.
in a servicing center.
And
And I was actually supporting several sites, Arizona, Des Moines, Iowa, Frederick, Maryland, Raleigh, North Carolina, and South Carolina, Charlotte, South Carolina. We
okay.
had servicing sites there.
All right. And how many people were you supporting?
Well, I supported the managers. So there was, at any time there could have been, 12 managers. I reported directly to a director. And there were, anywhere from 300 to 400 people that I would assist getting their accesses to the different mortgage programs that they needed to work with to assist customers with their mortgages. I took care of their travel plans. I took care of the expense reports. Like I said, I ordered all their accesses. I worked on their organizational chart, kept that current each month for budgeting purposes. That's all I can think of right now.
Okay. And so did you do like meeting minute notes?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. We had, I attended several of the managers' meetings
Mhm.
and took their meeting minutes and published them, and would specify any to-dos, that some of the managers had to react to.
Okay. Did you do any event planning?
I beg your pardon?
Did you do any type of event planning?
Absolutely. Yes, we had, I, back in 2009, when I went back to Wells Fargo, was when we were in the real financial critical stage, and people's mortgages were really, in jeopardy. So we had a lot of events that were all over the country. And so what I would do was we would assign people to go to these mortgage events in different cities. And so I would take care of the travel that they had, and even coordinating buses to take them to the airport and from the airport. Made sure that they, another thing that they had was because they were traveling and there were expenses involved relative to their hotel stays and also their food. I would get them credit cards, company credit cards. And then I monitor that pretty close, because I was responsible for the expense reports. And when something would come up that, didn't look quite right, then I would go over it with the managers. But for the most part, I was pretty much responsible for that. So,
Okay,
but
great.
then we did events, like we would, plan lunches. We would have people come in from out of town, for meetings and things like that. And, I would make sure that we had their lunches and things like that. When I worked at the retreat center, though, I did a lot of event planning. We had 110 beds, and there were Christian organizations that would come in, for retreats. And so I would assign their beds and also their meal planning, their room, where they were going to meet, those type of things. And, and I was sort of doing, a sales pitch, because when somebody was interested in having a retreat, they would come to our site, and I would give them a tour It was, like I said, it was a Catholic organization, and there was a lot of history there.
Okay. Um, and what about your computer skills? Tell me a little bit about the softwares that you've used most recently.
The Microsoft,
Mhm.
Excel, Word, PowerPoint. Like I said, I did, I always kept an org chart, together.
Mhm.
So, had gotten pretty good, with that. And, that was really something that was a great tool for our managers especially in budget planning. I mean, with everybody looking at everything through a magnifying glass, it was really important to know where their team members were and who they were reporting to, and who was gone and so forth.
Sure.
So those were the things that I was the most adept in.
Okay. And were you creating those org charts and then
Yes,
making changes to it? Okay.
yes.
I have done one of those. I know how hard that is.
Yes. And not
Um,
only that, but excuse me, also the hiring. I
okay.
was very much involved in the hiring. When we would have a need for an individual, I would be responsible that the managers would go over the resumes, and then they would have me set up. I would set up their interviews with the people, but always reach out to the manager to find out, do you need 15 minutes? Do you need half an hour? How much time, do you need when you're going to have an interview? So each one had, a unique need. Then when they decided that they were, and I would reach out to these people and individually, I would call them on the phone to
Mhm.
set up their interview time, and then coordinate it on the manager's calendar so that they had it, right in front of them. And also I would send the manager that was doing the interviewing a package of all the people that they would be interviewing and the times that they, tried to keep it, I pride myself in being very organized. So I tried to keep them as organized, take as much off of the managers as I could. Then
Sure.
when they would decide who they wanted to hire, the offer was made to them, and then I was responsible for making sure that the person had a place to sit, that they had a computer, that they had the initial mortgage accesses that they needed, because right away they needed to hit the ground running and start, doing their training,
Mhm.
so that they could become effective as quickly as possible in the industry.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for explaining all of that. You definitely had a lot of hats that you had to wear
Yeah.
in your previous position. Lots of really great experience and terrific skill set. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this part of the interview, Jenny, but don't go anywhere. We've got a few more things to chat about.
Okay. Can I just step away a minute?